I really like kimchi, but I'm not a big fan of the stuff that they sell in the stores, so I decided to make my own, along with a bit of boiled pork. Let's get it. I'm gonna start off by cutting all of my cabbage in half, and then we're gonna soak it in a bit of brine. This is about 3% salt water. So by soaking it in this brine, we actually make sure that the leaves don't break apart when we actually do salt it. About half an hour. I'm gonna be using this soup stock to make our rice glue instead of just water. So the reason why I'm peeling the daikon like this is to get rid of the tough part of the daikon before we cut it into matchsticks. So more of the reason why I don't necessarily like the kimchi that they sell at the grocery stores is because sometimes they just really only taste sour. There's not much really flavor to them. So when you're mass producing something on the scale that big, you can't exactly put so much ingredients without jacking up the price so high. So that's why I like making my own. And you know, just cutting up some green onions here. And next up is some Chinese chives, but we're gonna get rid of the bottoms because they're a bit too hard for what we want. This may look like a lot of garlic, and we're gonna use about half a kilo of it, but I assure you, it's not gonna taste too strong by the end of it, especially since it mellows out over time. After our stock has been simmering for long enough and it has the flavor that we want, we're gonna take out all the stuff and set aside 1 cup to make our rice glue. So 2 things, the raw soybean powder and sweet glutinous rice flour. So this part isn't exactly traditional, but I really like putting some fermented glutinous rice into it because it's naturally sweet, so then it'll actually balance out the flavor quite a bit by the time it goes into the kimchi. And then we'll cook out the flour until it's quite thick. So this part is actually one of the more time-consuming, but also more important parts, is actually salting the kimchi. So we're gonna peel back 2 or 3 leaves, and that counts as 1 layer. So salt each one in between, and then we're gonna leave these to salt for at least half an hour to 1 hour, kind of depending on what textures you want. If you want it softer, then you can actually leave it for longer. So equally as important, we're going to rinse off the cabbage Otherwise, you're gonna have some really salty kimchi after. So make sure to rinse it well and that you taste it right before we move on. This is where it actually gets a bit more fun, and then you're a little bit more hands-on at this point. So we're gonna mix together our rice glue, our salted shrimp, which we blended into a paste, another 2 cups of our soup stock, some fish sauce, okay, more fish sauce, and then sugar, along with our garlic. And then finally we're gonna add our red pepper flakes, or gochugaru. One thing I learned from some of my Korean coworkers is that you can't be making kimchi without a big plastic pink tub to be mixing your stuff in. And then they also told me there's something called kimchi gloves, which are I think pink gloves, which ajumas only use to make kimchi, but I don't have any of those, so my hands smelled like kimchi for the next 2 days. I hope you liked watching 1 minute of me slapping some garlic and chili powder on a bunch of cabbages, but here it is, the finished kimchi. Next, we're gonna work on our boiled pork. So just peeling some onions, and we're gonna cut a little bit of ginger. So some people might be thinking, like, why would you boil pork? Why don't you sear it or bake it or something, or do something more interesting? But I guarantee you, this isn't some regular boiled ass mean potatoes kind of boiled pork, okay? So starting off our boiled pork in cold water with some onions and ginger, but then the secret is actually instant coffee powder and a bit of seasoning. So the coffee will actually help get rid of the not so great smell. boiled pork by itself would probably be a bit too bland, so that's why I'm making something called samjang. It's actually just a dipping sauce for meat, or just actually just wraps in general. So this is actually, it's gonna make it taste a lot better. So just some onions, garlic, sesame oil, sugar, soybean paste, and then chili paste. I'm actually making dinner for my family right now, so can't forget the veg. I'm gonna do it a Cantonese style, so just stir fried with some garlic and ginger, and that's it. Just a little bit of chopped peppers, cause you know I like it hot. Some of our fresh made kimchi. Nothing goes better with a boiled pork than fresh kimchi. It's like Korean bread and butter. Okay, maybe not exactly, but you know what I mean. Super simple. We're gonna brown the garlic and ginger, throw in some of our bok choy, season it, and then put a little bit of water to cook it through. I didn't see it before, but that plate that I'm using looks so damn Chinese. Like, goddamn. For the pork, I just cooked it until it was barely cooked, and then left it in the liquid for about another 10 minutes or so, and then you'll have super tender pork. And there you have it. That's dinner. So it wouldn't be a Chinese dinner if you didn't hear someone calling out "Sikfala!" But since I'm cooking Korean food, I'll say "잘 먹겠습니다."